Do you still get ascension symptoms, and do they ever stop? I've been on my journey a very long time, and it's gotten pretty wild. So there's good news and bad news when it comes to answering this question. And the first one is that, do ascension symptoms ever stop? I don't know if they ever stop completely, because we're in a constant state of flow and we're in a constant state of evolution. And especially at the start of this age of Aquarius, and I would say that the age of Aquarius started at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So going into this 2021, into this new energy, things are accelerating a little bit more. So sometimes it can feel like we're being torn apart, especially physically, mentally also. The physical body really gets hammered a lot with these accelerated energies that are moving upward really fast now. And it's giving the body a little bit less time to adjust. So it can feel like your body is being torn apart really with these ascension processes. So do the ascension symptoms ever stop? I don't know that they ever stop, but the good news is that they get less and less severe. And that's definitely happened in my own life. So when I had my spiritual awakening, I had my spiritual awakening, and then a year later I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, and I had a really difficult Kundalini awakening. So I went through a lot of physical symptoms, nothing like disease. I was never diagnosed with a disease or anything like that, but I went through a lot of difficult symptoms during that Kundalini awakening. Sometimes I was so tired that I couldn't even walk up the stairs to get in my house. I just felt like I was 100 years old. And so there were various symptoms that were going on. So I would say that the first 2 to 3 years of my spiritual awakening were very difficult in terms of the physical part of it. I lost a ton of weight, but it wasn't an unhealthy loss of weight. It's just I lost so much weight that I had been carrying for so long in my life due to the trauma and stuff that was unhealed. And as my body started to shed and to go into the ascension process, I really did have, I had pretty severe physical symptoms, mental symptoms also. Sometimes anxiety. So I had a lot of ascension symptoms, I would say the first 2 to 3 years. And then things started to calm down a little bit. I think you get to a threshold where your body can now house enough light that even if a little bit more light comes in, the body isn't going to completely fall apart on you. Whereas in the beginning of the spiritual awakening, when you're first getting bombarded with those initial light codes and you're really going into that ascension process, sometimes it can be hard for the body to adjust to those new levels of light. And so the adjustment process during your first ascensions, and I say that in plural because it's not just one ascension process. Usually what happens is you go through an accelerated rate of ascension, and then there's a pause. Maybe there's a pause for a month or a week or a year, whatever it is. There's a little bit of a pause, and then boom, another ascension process occurs, and you go through another round of ascension, and you may exhibit some symptoms. So it's not always linear. It's usually ascension and then a little bit of stopping, and then ascension, a little bit of pausing. And so for me, and for, I think, pretty much everyone that I've worked with, I don't think I've ever encountered anyone in my work that has had severe ascension symptoms constantly nonstop for years on end. It's usually this ascension symptoms, and then, oh, okay, my body feels good. I'm starting to feel good. Oh, great. Okay. And then ascension symptoms a little bit, but they start to get less severe. In my experience, they start to get less severe. The more that your body goes up in frequency, the more easily it deals with light. And so the changes are a little bit less severe. Do I still get ascension symptoms now? I would say yes, I do, but they're pretty light, and I could rebound from them pretty quickly. Usually what I do when I'm having ascension symptoms now, when was the last time that I could say I had ascension symptoms? Probably around December. And it had to do with the fact that I was working a lot. I was recording my premium coaching program, Heart Alchemy, and I was in the studio a lot. And so I was really tired, but at the same time, I knew I was going through an ascension process at that time. And so that process itself, it wasn't as severe as it was in my initial spiritual awakening, but it was still a little bit tiring. But I think too, as you're walking on your spiritual path, you learn what things work for you, what practices work for you, what meditation works for you, all of these different things, because you're experienced now. Whereas when I started my spiritual awakening, I didn't know what the heck to do to make my symptoms feel better, because I didn't even know half the time what the heck was happening to me. I was kind of a rookie in spiritual matters. And so it took a little bit of experience of learning through experience what worked for me, what didn't, what made my body calm down, what was better for the symptoms and what wasn't. And so then once you start to learn what works for you, then you could deploy those strategies later on when you're having ascension symptoms, as you're more mature and more kind of more experienced on the spiritual path. So if you know, I kind of feel bad for the person that submitted this question, because it's you know, she's probably going through a difficult time right now with ascension symptoms, but just know that this is temporary, that the ascension symptoms, you're going to get much better at dealing with them. Your body is going to get adjusted. And so the ascension symptoms will kind of trickle as you move forward on your path. Just get really good at experimenting. What practices work for you? How can you move energy to help your body? What can you do to help your body kind of ascend with the least amount of symptoms? For example, you know, does my body like bubble baths with Epsom salts? Does my body like it when I go swimming in the ocean in colder water? Experiment on yourself and find those things and those practices that really work to help you. We're all unique, so the practices that I used may not be appropriate for other people, but the experimenting is wonderful, because then you kind of find out the things that work for you, and then when the next round of ascension symptoms comes in, you'll be ready. But again, the good news, as you're moving along your spiritual path, the more you're moving energy, the more you're surrendering to the ascension process, the symptoms start to decrease more and more and more, until pretty soon, I don't know if I would, sometimes I don't even call them ascension symptoms anymore. I'll feel when there's a little bit of an energy shift, I'll feel it immediately. Sometimes I'll just, you know, go take a shower, cleanse my energy. Sometimes I just meditate. Sometimes I dance. Sometimes I go to the beach. I have different strategies that I use. Sometimes I just sleep. I sleep more. So it's simple strategies, nothing elaborate. But I'll know right away to deploy those strategies right away when I'm having those ascension symptoms, and they go away pretty quickly. So that's the good news. They're going to become lighter, and they won't even bother you. You won't even call them ascension symptoms anymore.